Welcome to the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show, a broadcast service of globalbusinessnews.net.
This episode from the meeting room of Global TV Talk Show is brought to you by
The Bridge School, the accredited international online private school of choice, at bridgek12.org.
Porch Light Rental and Destination Services. Reduce your renter lump sum or managed relocation costs. Visit them at porchlightrental.com.
And by airs.com. With our full range of services, we can help design and manage your international relocation. Find us at airs.com.
Primestone Partners, featuring corporate, government, and developer housing solutions, as well as senior-level advisory services. Find them at primestonepartners.com.
And by International Auto Source. We are the vehicle experts for expats, featuring all major brands of automobiles with flexible solutions and financing. On the web at intlauto.com.
Become a global player in your field.
Cross Culture to Go provides virtual support for your global business and career success.
We can help you thrive in 140 plus countries and markets.
On the web at crossculturetogo.com.
Hi, this is Ed Cohen, your broadcast host on Global TV Talk Show, a unit on globalbusinessnews.net, which we formed in '03. Global TV Talk Show formed as a result of the crash and burn of our live conference training business on or about March 1 of 2020. So we've done teleconferences. Here we are on Zoom. It's easy and it's effective if it's used properly. Today's very special guest is Stirling Fernandez. I hope I'm pronouncing that correct. Did I?
Well, that'll work. It's Portuguese for us, so we say Fernandez, but the rest of the world would see it as Fernandez, and we go either way.
Oh, how interesting. Well, welcome to Global TV.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you bet. I'm really honored to meet you. It's quite a story we're going to hear about. For nearly 3 decades, Stirling Fernandez has been a speaker, a teacher, a mentor, and is now author of Life Mastery, Personal Progression Towards an Infinite Potential. Sherry and her husband, Ken, are a rags to riches story. Against all odds, they found success, not only financially, but in each of the 8 areas of life mastery: physical, spiritual, education, motivation, money, lifestyle, and I think what's most important here is character. The Life Mastery Program is a result of their careful study of the principles of success and a lifetime of practicing those principles. And continuing to read here, it's really interesting. What makes Sherry unique in her ability to teach personal development is the years of study and practice she invested to master these principles she now teaches. It all began in 2009, in the midst of that recession, when Sherry opened a boutique fitness, Fitmania, and personal development business, Fit Life. They both grew rapidly, and that transformed their lives. From that emerged Sherry's Life Mastery training, the Life Mastery Mentoring Program, and Sherry's powerful new book, Life Mastery, Personal Progression Toward an Infinite Potential. Wow, this is great. I got to stop reading this. Here's Sherry. Hello.
Hello.
Okay, and you're in Boise and I'm in San Diego, both good places.
Yeah.
So how did you get from, and I read the bio stuff, being a hippie and having a house full of kids towards founding these businesses? What happened that would made one day? I know it's not overnight, but seemingly one day you weren't sure what to do. Maybe you had really good thoughts, but you had your hands full around the house. And then all of a sudden you're into a track that seems to have caught on. So what was that transition like?
I think one of the things, it seems like I can pivot and make a change in life. I went from hippie and free living and all the things, the sex, drugs, and rock and roll thing, to settled, married. I didn't think I'd want to be married. And then I had a child and got married and had another child. And so I went right almost immediately from this wild life to a life where I wanted to be settled, domestic, and even religious in that context. And I've done that a few times in my life, just sort of make a pivot and started a whole new phase of life. But having started in that, spending years in that culture where it's just on the road and living day to day, and now I want things, but I've wasted the years, right? The years you'd get an education, you might have some good jobs that could lead you to somewhere. My husband had done the same thing. That's how we met, right? In that culture. So we get married, we crazy about each other, and we love our little family that I never expected to have one of. But we wanted things. We wanted to be not just things like material things, but we wanted to have a certain kind of life. We wanted to have no ceiling, or I specifically wanted no ceiling on my income, because I hate the idea of not being able to afford something that I want. I don't want a lot, but when I want to do something, I want to be able to do it. And I wanted to have these children. We ended up with 6 children, actually. And I wanted to be able to have these children and still feel sexy and beautiful and have a good body. And I wanted a spiritual life. I wanted to have that peace and growth that comes spiritually. I wanted to be a certain kind of person. I had a lot of bad habits. I wanted to overcome those. I just wanted everything. And I thought, I really believed I could have it. I would say frequently to myself, you can have everything. It's possible. If anybody's done it, I can do it. And I just need to figure out how to do it. So then I went on a journey, and my husband too, went on a journey to figure out how to make that happen. We started reading books and listening to motivational material and trying to sort it out. But before we got there, we really, as rags to riches, we had really nothing. We worked hard all day, every day, just to be able to feed ourselves. We were really pretty destitute. We were living on about $500 a month, and half of that was our house payment. So we were really just struggling just to pay our utilities and that kind of thing. So it was a low start. But Ken is at the goal to be worth $1 million by the time he was 40, and we're just about the same age. We're just about a year apart. So that meant me too. So by the time I hit 40, we were worth $1 million. And then of course we grew from there, and we're in our 60s now, have more than that. But it wasn't overnight exactly. And yet kind of it was once we got things rolling.
So let me ask you about the Fit to Life and the two health-oriented businesses. You did this for yourself, of course, and you found that, it's not work. You like doing that. And then you probably got, I'm guessing, you got some neighbors or friends, and then they liked it or worked for them. And then they told 2 friends, and they told 2 friends. And then all of a sudden you've said, I think I better charge for this, right?
Yeah, that was kind of it. I knew I had struggled on the fitness thing for quite a while, to find the answers. When I did, I thought, this is so obvious, I need to teach this. We already had a very successful business, had been very lucrative and supported us really well. So we're entrepreneurially minded. And I also had the personal development things I wanted to teach. So I needed my own platform. So I knew how to start a business. We started one, and it was in the recession. I started that business with the fitness and the personal development. And like you say, I found the answers, and people were not just in fitness, but in relationships and motivation and goal setting, a lot of those things, but more fitness than anything. They saw the results I had. And that was just such an obvious answer. I just had to share it.
So it was working for you, and you just figured out how to express it in a certain way that created more interest in others.
And when we made that a huge difference in that business, we got results with people, lifestyle results, not just like instant results, but whole lifestyle. And interesting, when people, this is why the physical self is the first chapter in the second section, in the what section, comes first, is because when people start getting a handle on their physical self, they start mastering their appetites, and they find the power in exercising every day and the transformations that they're having. Then they want to take those transformations into other parts of their life. Then they were interested in maybe their finances, or sometimes in relationships. And so we had classes and courses and coaching on those things as well. But that's why I put that one first. It seems to be where most people, and my clients too, most of them will start with the physical, mastering those habits that they know they need to have for their own self, for their body.
Yeah, I got to stop eating bread, but it's hard.
All you got to do is just, all you got to do is just quit. Yeah, I would suggest that actually. We found that bread to be a real problem, weight gainer, and it's been linked to depression and some other things. So I would suggest you don't do that.
Yeah, I know. Good.
So,
so are your kids into fitness?
Most of them, yeah. I mean, they all to some level or another. And, like some people, some of them are struggling a little more than others. My oldest daughter just finished triathlon. I've got a daughter who does CrossFit. She's ripping fit and just tough. She's over 40 and she looks like she's about 29. She's really fit. All of them, they're runners or they work out, or I would say without exception. My youngest son isn't married yet. He still kind of floats a bit, but he'll work out for a while and then kind of drift off. But yeah, they're all at some level or another.
So the pandemic has impacted everybody and everything, but more people. More for some people than others. Working from home, being more together. I mean, this is like a mental health thing for a lot of people. And some people are having trouble with it, and others have mastered it and figured out, well, I like this. I don't want to go back to the office. In fact, I'm afraid. I don't even want to get on the subway.
Yeah, that's true. I find it's been fascinating. Some people you said you've started doing these Zoom meetings and doing the stuff on Zoom. I wrote a book. So many people have gotten fit, started a new project, found a way to turn their business. It's now even better than others. All of our businesses have had record years this year. We did great. So I find that people kind of fall into one or two categories. They either let it get them or they find it as an opportunity. This is just like classic life, right? It's just an opportunity to do something different. How can I work with this? What can I do? Or they watched TV and waited for it to get over and nothing happened. So that's how I see the pandemic. And I know people who have gotten ripping fit since then. I know people who have gained a ton of weight. And that's just maybe a metaphor for what you can do. We had a year-ish or whatever it was. You could get, if you put your effort into it, you could get the equivalent of a 4-year degree if you were off work for that year, right? At home, you could do online courses or whatever. You could, if you put all that energy that you would be working 8 or 9 or 10 hours a day into education, you could get the equivalent or even actually a 4-year degree in that year. Or you could just wait for the pandemic to be over and not be any farther ahead.
Right. So you're celebrating and the achievements. So this has really been interesting. So for 25 years, I produced more than 350 live training conferences for Fortune 1000 companies and everybody that wants to sell to them. Very successful. Prior to that, we were doing print magazine publishing. And that, so, I wasn't ready for internet and it did a number on us. And then I decided to do international meetings and starting in 97 in London. But again, it's all corporate stuff. But we found success doing that. And then I published a newspaper connected with that side of the business. And then and then I met a guy who was from Intel Corporation, and I hired him to build me a website. So we're still using the website, although it's been upgraded a lot. So we've had over 1 million audience page views on the site since 2003.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it could have been a lot more now that I know what I'm doing. but
Yeah.
but that's
I
been
got stories like that too.
that's been a mastery. It's in progress. But we started the TV talk shows, the Zoom meetings, from a very commercial point of view. From day one, they've been advertised, supported. Advertisers have not paid me a lot of money, but they've been paying, but it's good. So we've had, according to Google Analytics, since spring of 20 through yesterday, about 120,000 what they call audience page views. And it's a direct result of the camaraderie or the networking that the Zoom can do if you use it right. Yeah, and so that's been my transformation. And now it's not too late, but I should have done it earlier. The push is on to monetize it.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I didn't. I was afraid to ask for money because everybody was either hurting or they didn't want to spend money. But I was afraid I'd lose the audience, and so oh my god. So it's but now I don't. Now I've got the audience, and I still need more. But now I'm working on funding, and I'm finding that boy, I don't know why it's taken so long, but it's come to me in the last, really, I've been thinking about it for months, but just in the last month, it's like the light has gone on. And hearing your story, that's sort of probably what happened. Very different situations, but the same transition. And it's still in progress for me.
I think that's life. I think it's people that think like you do. You just find the next new thing, and then we have to learn how to do it. I've been doing similar things. I never intended to write a book ever. I would speak somewhere, and people would say, "You should write a book." I'm like, "Yeah, no, I have no interest in that." I thought I had no ability or talent to do that, and it seemed, I don't know, tedious maybe or something. I don't know what it was. It actually flowed out of me so fast I couldn't even believe it. Ken, my husband, said, "It's because you've been writing it for 40 years. That's why it came to you." It's like all the information was in my head. And I just shared the way I speak, more or less. But still, that's not something I ever intended to do. But I think that people who think like you do or think like I do, when things shift, we learn to shift with it. But then you have to I'm trying to find my way in the book world, right? What do I do? Am I with the right publisher? How do I connect to the right people? I'm having to find my way through that, but it's kind of part of the process, right? We learn a lot, and I've learned a ton of stuff doing these interviews. I was so afraid somebody would ask for some technology I didn't know how to do. Worked it all out. Of course, I had some help. I have a great couple of guys, the young millennials that work with me, and they help. They a couple of times ago can bail me out when I've gotten myself tangled up in the technology. But now I'm pretty good at navigating. It's important that we're learning as we go along, and you're doing it. And so, yeah, it'd been nice if you'd monetized earlier, but now you know. Now you do, and you'll find some other things you didn't know before.
Yeah.
I wish I'd had my book when I was 25. That's what I wish. If I'd had my book when I was 25, I don't know, where would I be now? I'd be farther along, maybe.
We interrupt this broadcast to bring you a timely announcement.
Hi, I'm Sergei Gorbatov.
I'm Angela Lane.
Together we are researchers, writers and practitioners in the field of human resources.
And we've also been multi-country, multi-assignment career expats.
We owe our professional development and growth to a very large extent to the international assignment opportunities that we have had.
But in a world where distributed work may become the norm, we also want to understand what will happen to the nature, duration, and purpose of international assignments.
Together with our colleague, Julian Dalzell from the University of South Carolina, we're undertaking a study on the future of expatriation.
And we'd value your contribution. You can participate in this important study by completing a simple 10-minute questionnaire.
Access the questionnaire by typing in your browser tinyurl.com/expert study. That's tiny, url.com/expat study. You can also find the link here on Ed's website next to this video.
Thank you for joining us in this study. In return for your contribution, we'll provide you with a copy of our research.
And of course, you'll be invited to an exclusive webinar hosted by Ed, where we will share our findings right here on Global Business News.
And so please go to tinyurl.com/expat study. Take the survey so that we can better understand the future of expatriation.
Something that's really neat is that the Bridge School partners with various organizations to provide learning for their students. For example, we partner with a major ballet company, and we are able to enroll several of their students into our school. So now not only is the student able to participate in a school and have a seamless transition while they're very active in their ballet career, but now they have other dancers that are with them that are doing some of the same courses. So it's almost becoming a camaraderie where they're taking similar courses, they're working together on their ballet, and really being able to form this great partnership with these organizations to provide a needed service. A lot of times there are student athletes who will spend hours and hours at the gym or at the basketball courts, wherever it is. And if they're attending a traditional school, they're in school from 8 to 3. They get a quick snack, and then they're at the gym for 3 to 4 hours in the evening. Coming to us and having that partnership, they're able to break that up throughout the day. They can have a morning practice, get some schooling in, have an afternoon practice, finish their schooling in the evening. So there's that flexibility. And additionally, if there are tournaments or performances, it's fantastic because if there's a week where they have shows straight through, they can take that week off of learning and then pick back up when they're done. So it offers this great flexibility. And for the program owners of these sports leagues, it is a win-win situation for them because they see this need. They see this need that their students need to make sure that they are obtaining the grades necessary to be successful adults in our country and in other countries. But it provides them an environment where they can be successful at both.
So some of the people, I've got this whole books and authors series, and you're part of that. But I made some friends with people. One guy is Stephen Howard. He's written 21 books. He's working on his 22nd. And I said, how do you do all that stuff? I mean, I think of writing a book as like, oh my God. You know?
Right? That's what I thought. You'll probably write one someday.
He's teaching me, how to think about it, but I haven't written a word yet. Actually, I've typed things a lot, Yeah. But and it turns out that that's exactly what he said. You do. You just start, and don't think of a book. Think of chapters. Yeah,
just start. I think what I'd have been asked, like you said, a lot of times, when am I going to write a book? And you should write a book, and I'd be like, no. And then I did a workshop just before COVID, and there was a couple there. They were both educators. He was a junior high school principal. I can't remember. And the wife was a Montessori school person or something. But they had said, you should write a book. And these were people who I didn't know real well, but I knew a little bit, and people I respected. And I thought, I don't think so. Somebody else said it. I had a coach, and I said, maybe I should. He's wrote a book. I said, maybe I should write a book. He said, you should. But then my husband said, no, Sherry, really, you should. And I thought, okay, well, I'll just write the way that I'm a good speaker, and I hold an audience really well. I thought, well, I can speak as well as I do. I'll just write how I speak. It actually doesn't work, but it got me started. You can't really quite do that. There's things you can say that you can't put in writing and vice versa, but still, it got me started. I thought, I'll just put the ideas down, at least the way I would say them, and then it went from there. And a good book coach is helpful. My daughter does book coaching, and so once I got it written, she helped me with that. So it came out a little better with her help. Yeah, get yourself a good book coach and you'll be right.
Yeah. So I thank you for being my guest today on Global TV Talk Show. We don't have to end right now, but I don't want to dig too deep into things I shouldn't, but I'm interested. I'm a little older than you are, and I grew up in the late 60s and early 70s in the Boston area. It's very, very hippie oriented, although I was always sort of business oriented, but was on both sides. There was Vietnam and then Nixon and all that.
People think times are troubled now. There were some troubled times back there.
It was actually more intense. It was more intense.
That was pretty intense. And the threat of the nuclear war always hanging over our head. It was pretty intense.
Yeah. So unfortunately, with the world the way it is the past week and earlier, but particularly the past week, it seems exacerbated. And I think we're probably going to head towards, in the next election, probably going to head towards some difficult times here, unfortunately. And I think we may get touched or baited by Russia or China or maybe somebody else because of what's going on right now. But more about that another time. How did you handle, and how would you advise people out there in the audience? How would you handle strife and stress from strife and uncertainty, whether, and this is not political at all, it's just what it is, the vaccine or guns or, or abortion. I mean, it's crazy stuff that's out there, but all of a sudden everything's so polarized about everything. And it seems that people are on real short circuits right now. Yeah. So what do you think about that in terms of the program that we're talking about right now and self-mastery, and then how to not get swept up, but how to take charge of a difficult situation?
You can't, that's such an important question. And I'm so glad you asked me. I hope a whole bunch of people hear this answer. You can't fix it. Only thing you can do is fix yourself. You work on what your enterprise is. You do you the very best that you can. And if everybody does that, you might have more influence than I do. I don't know, but I can't influence these things that are happening. I can only have control over me. But if I can be the best version of myself, that's the way the world gets changed. Everybody working on themselves. And don't get distracted. I write about this in the book. Limit your news sources. You're talking about the last week. I'm thinking, what's been going on this week? You're not missing a lot by missing the news. Knowing every little thing that's going on is just going to cause you to wring your hands.
Yeah, it's counterproductive. Yeah.
It's horribly counterproductive. It's very negative. Turn on something motivational instead. And you don't need to know all that stuff. It's not going to affect your life except in a negative way. So I'm not saying no news ever, but I really limit it. I have a couple of apps. If I want to know what's going on, I go to the app and look at the headlines, and I only read the headlines. It distracts me from what I can do. I'm trying to change people's lives. I still do coaching. I still do speaking. I still do, I would do occasional workshop. I haven't been doing it because of COVID, but I would still do. If I listen to this, I remember listening to Wayne Dyer speak, and he talked about when the Challenger blew up, and he said he did not know that when he went on stage the next day or whatever, because he'd stayed away from the news before he spoke. That was his habit. And he said, I didn't feel sad about the Challenger because I didn't know about it, right? Until afterwards. And of course, then he did. He said that would have affected my presentation that day if I had known about that. He felt that deeply.
Well, the one book I remember from him is "I'm Okay, You're Okay," but there are others also. And that was good for me at that time.
Actually, didn't write that one, but he did write all the books. Yeah, that one was a little before his time, but he did your Erroneous Zones, and I mostly liked him. I found it more interesting to listen to than read his books, but he made a big difference in my life. But I do remember that he would have been diminished in his ability to serve if he'd watched the news.
I follow that because he's very sensitive.
And that's how I'm depressed about what's going on when I meet with my client. I'm not on my best game.
Right. So I got a million things I can ask you, and I don't really want to hog up your time here, but this has been really fascinating. And do you have the book cover you can show the screen?
Let me just reach for it.
Yeah.
So it looks like this.
There we go.
What the back looks like. I think it's a nice book. Yeah, I think it's a pretty book. I did talk to one of the hosts. He said he didn't like it. I don't care. I like it. Anyway, this is what it looks like. Life Mastery. It's on Amazon. It's also on the website, lifemasteryinfo.com.
Good, thank you. And is that yeah, I could see it. Very nice. On the front cover, is that a pineapple?
No, it's that's one thing I would change is make that a little smaller. It's I use the analogy of a redwood coniferous cone. A redwood coniferous cone is only this big, and yet it's the biggest tree. These majestic, almost sacred trees come from this little teeny tiny coniferous cone, about an inch big, and use that as an analogy to human potential. We're like that, we're little tiny something, but our potential is to be as magnificent or more so than those redwood trees, which you would probably be familiar with. But
yeah. So what kind of trees are there in Boise? Are there tall trees there?
You know, Boise is supposed to supposedly comes from some French word like bois or something, city of trees. Oh, but they're in Boise. We're close to the wooded areas, the forest, the pine forest, but we don't have them here. We have a river that runs through town, so we have lots of river trees and then a lot of planted trees. So we don't have anything. We have sagebrush, let's be honest. Oh, we've got a sagebrush. That's what grows except along the river. But it's a beautiful city. There's lots of trees that have been planted, and we have beautiful parks. And
that's what I hear. I've never been there, but I know people who are there.
It really is. So even though I said sagebrush, you know, it's a nice sagebrush, and we're close to the mountains.
And it's green, yeah.
And it's green, yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for being on Global TV Talk Show.
I'm happy. I'm happy to come back anytime.
Would love to continue and expand.
Yeah, I think we might have some things in common. That would be fun to talk to you.
Yeah, indeed. Thank you. Okay, ciao. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us in the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show.
Have a wonderful day, and stay safe.